Welcome back everyone, Mariah here, and in today's video, I'm going to be going over how I predict the price of Bitcoin, how I predict where it's moving so that I can better make decisions when it comes to buy orders and sell orders. So I pretty much use three different indicators. I use TradingView, and I'm going to go ahead and put a link down below. There is a free version of TradingView that you can use. If you sign up with my link, and if you ever upgrade to a paid plan, I believe we both get $30. So that's one way for you to support the channel. I personally do have the paid version. I have the first level of the paid version, and that is because I want to use more indicators, and I like to set alerts when it comes to the price. So I can get text messages straight to my phone, giving me alerts of different actions that are happening, so I don't have to be looking at the charts all day long. So the three different indicators that I use is one, the TD sequential system. I also use moving averages, and I just pay attention to basically the price making higher highs and higher lows. This is what I have here. The TD sequential is all of these numbers that are basically above the candles. So what you typically notice over time is that whether it comes to the daily, the hourly, or the 5-minute, Bitcoin frequently moves like within 9 candles. So it'll kind of usually have like 9 candles of upside, sometimes 4 to 9 candles going down. And then if you just pay attention, 9 is like the kind of sequence that it goes into. 4 is also another common, like a 4 candle pullback. Technically on this daily chart right here, this 9 would have been your like sell signal candle. But then there's also scenarios like this 9 where we saw tons of upside after that. So it's not always correct, but it's kind of like a good momentum indicator so that you can see where things are going. So the TD sequential is something that I am always paying attention to. I know this sounds terrible, but to be honest with you, like I don't know what all of these pink candles mean. And I have tried to find information online on using the TD sequential, but I haven't been able to find it yet. You could see here, like in this area, like it's not always accurate. But like this 9 wouldn't have been a bad place to sell, but you would have had to buy back quickly because it was just, like a 3 candle pullback, and then it continued to the upside significantly. So it's not always 100% accurate, but it's just something that I feel like leads me in the right direction. Okay, the second thing that I have here is several moving averages. To be honest with you, I don't really pay attention to this blue one all that often. This thin blue one right here is a 21-day moving average, and Bitcoin tends to bounce off of that level somewhat frequently, so that's why I have it on there. And then I recently just added this green and this red one. So this red one right here is a 12-day, and you can adjust these however you want. The red is a 12-day and the green is a 5-day. So someone recently gave me this tip that when the green crosses over the red headed upwards, that it's time to get in, and then when it starts crossing downwards, it's time to get out. So you could see here, like on this daily chart, that would have worked out great. You would have gotten here at about 35,000. You wouldn't have hit the top, but you would have gotten out around 49,000. But it isn't always, like, no indicator is going to be 100% accurate. It's only going to help you, like, lead you in the right direction. So like, for example here, those are like the 2 indicators that I use a lot. And I also pay attention to something that's very simple. You'll hear a lot of people talk about it. So like just looking out for higher highs and higher lows. So like I look at this as a high, I look at this as a low. This is a higher high in relationship to this previous high, right? Even if it was like $1 above, it would have been considered still a new high. And when you put your cursor over the candles, you can see at the top of the screen, it basically shows the open, the high of that candle, the low, and the close. So on the daily here, right, Bitcoin made a higher high in relationship to this high. And you could say this right here is a higher low because it's higher than this low and this low. It's making higher lows, which is a bullish scenario. So in this case right now, if Bitcoin goes below the bottom of this candle right here at 53,221, I'm going to be concerned. If a candle at any point, whether it just wicks down there or if it closes at that point, I would be very concerned that we're going to start trending downwards significantly. So that's something to pay attention to. So usually what I'll do is I'll start like at the daily chart, and I'll zoom out. When in doubt, zoom out. And this isn't giving me a ton of clarity here, right? Bitcoin looked like it was trending upwards, and I expected, 7 more candles of upside. That clearly was not the case. So on the 1 hour, I'm not seeing a ton of clarity. Then I'll take a look at like the 12-hour chart. And I would start being really concerned if this 2 starts trading below this 1. The low of this candle is 55,543, so that's something to be cautious of there. Just continue zooming in, right? Not as much clarity on the 12-hour. We're kind of just like waiting for that candle to close and see if it goes below the red 2, goes below the red 1. Let's see here. We are now on the 4-hour chart, and then over here you can see the amount of time that's left on that candle. So like this candle previously just closed because we still have almost 4 hours left. This candle is only 7 minutes in. So, I mean, you could see here that the green and the moving averages, you can use it pretty much on any time frame. I would recommend like an hour or higher time frames below that. It's going to get a little bit dicey, and the opportunities to get in and out will not have as much opportunity for profits. So especially when you start considering fees. So you can see here this moving average, this green crossed down over the red, which means potentially that we're going lower. And on this 4-hour chart, we made a lower low. So this was the low right here, and Bitcoin started trading below that. So honestly, the 4-hour chart really hasn't given us any clarity yet that we're going to be having a turnaround. But once we go into the 1 hour, then we are getting a little bit potentially more clarity. We have the green, it's going to be crossing above the red, and we could potentially see a total of this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more candles of upside and make maybe a high around about 59. And of course, like a huge trend change would be if we have a blow off candle that goes above this particular high. So we're looking for a higher high. The high of this candle right here is 59,928. So that's a long ways to go. I mean, it's about $3,000. Obviously, Bitcoin moves quickly in short periods of time, but we want to be seeing this hourly chart making a higher high. So it could potentially turn around, make a high here, and then a lower high, which would be a bullish sign. Basically, we don't want to see the next low go below this candle right here, which is about 55,500. And so we would want to see something like this. So maybe we see that, and then we see like a pullback here to make a lower high, and then we see a higher high, and then we see it pull back, a higher low, and then it basically starts trending upwards. That's what we are looking for on the 1 hour chart. And something quite similar, I don't really use this drawing tool that often, as you can see. It doesn't look all that great, and I'm not really sure why it's not deleting. Okay, well, I guess I'll figure that out later. So you can see here the 30-minute actually made a higher high. So the high of this, I'll be looking at the high of this candle right here. That high was 57,451. 57,575 was the high of this candle. So we're probably going to see a pullback. We don't want to see this pullback go below this low of a candle. So we want to see it making a higher low, and then a higher high, and then continue the trend upwards. So I typically look at like the 5-minute candle as guidance. The 1 minute doesn't seem to give as much clarity, but I gotta turn this tool off. I don't know what the heck's going on here. Sorry, this is now, oh my gosh, I just can't get rid of this. Well, anyways, you can see here a lower low was made just about 15 minutes ago. So we want to see Bitcoin now go above 57.6 to make a higher high, and that would be giving us some guidance. Obviously, like the 1 minute is potentially good to get in and out, and you can use that as guidance as well. Oh my gosh, I just can't with all these squiggly lines. I don't know how to get rid of them. And so this really hasn't given us clarity yet. Like you could see here, right? This is like bit trending downwards on the 1 minute. We have a high, we have a low, we have a lower high, because this right here made a top above this top, and then a lower low, a lower high, a lower low, where this is considered trending downwards, which is obviously bearish on the 1 minute, but you can't take the 1 minute all that seriously because it's just a 1 minute chart. And like I said, when in doubt, zoom out. So that's how I approach a chart to make predictions on what's going to happen next. As many of you know that have been here for a while, I also have been looking a lot at the chart from 2017, the bull run, and So from reflecting back on 2017, we saw Bitcoin pull back like, I don't know, 8 times 30%. So I expect those same things to happen in this bull run. We also saw the shorter pullbacks were more between 10 and 15%. So those are like the two ranges that I expect Bitcoin to pull back in a bull market, right? Shorter periods of time, pull back 10 to 15%, long extended, drawn out pullbacks 25 to 30%, sometimes even closer to 40%. Like I said, I noticed back in 2017 in October, we saw a high of 5,800, which is odd. We saw a high of 58,000 this time. We also saw a high shortly after that of 6,100. We saw the high of 61,000. We saw a pullback then after that to 5,300. Then we got the pullback to 53,000. So paying attention there and just comparing. Also, like looking back at the most parabolic part of the bull run of 2017 was like the last month, right? I think it was like the last month or 2 months, Bitcoin went up 350%. So I'm expecting like when the top is in, it's after a like major parabolic run. So taking those things into consideration is what has also guided me when it comes to price prediction. And I'm definitely not always accurate, but so far it has guided me in the right direction. You're never gonna be right 100% of the time. No one has that sort of capability, but you just wanna take different indicators and test them out and use them frequently and see if you can find some guidance, because obviously I'm not a fan of trading like a huge portion of your Bitcoin position, but I think it's important to like take profit at times, and you want to take profit at the most advantageous times, right? Like when people say they're trying to take profit as it's trending downwards, no, you sell into strength, right? That gives you the best opportunity if you want to buy back lower. So that's all I have for you today. Go ahead and check out my link down below if you want to sign up with TradingView. I do use the paid version. I think it's highly valuable. One thing to also to consider is here, like what I really like is I can just organize. Like I have, my friend that follows penny stocks. I have his picks. I have my crypto. I have stuff I'm currently invested in. EV for electric vehicles, majors like S&P 500, the Dow, MJ for marijuana stocks, shroom stocks, tech, watch list. So that's kind of how I have mine organized. I also have an app. So everything that I'm doing here, the same indicators, the same account I use, it correlates over to my app. So when I'm not by my computer, I can still be checking the charts throughout the day. And the app is really great as well. Even though you might think it's hard to go from like a big screen to a small screen, it's actually still super beneficial. And so that's all I have for you today. As always, go out there and create a portfolio that you love.